boundaries in relationships. So we had talked about this a little bit in another video, and it was requested that we talk more about the boundaries that we had, especially when we were dating. So we're excited to share this. Thank you for your patience and getting back to you. I want to talk a little bit about why boundaries are important, especially as a Christian couple. Again, we had established that obviously we're not going to have sex before we're married. And again, if you're Christian and you weren't aware of that, I want to encourage you, again, biblically, sex outside of marriage is a sin, so don't do it, right? And again, God, who designed us, who knows our hearts and knows how our bodies are supposed to work, if we follow things according to his plan, we're actually going to be better off, and we're going to feel better connected, and you're going to have a healthier and more prosperous relationship. But to decide not to have sex isn't a boundary, right? That's sin. That's deciding not to sin, right? But what boundaries are rules that you set for yourself that aren't necessarily sins, but they're wisdom, right? So if your only rule is that, hey, we know we're not going to have sex, you're going to be tempted to try to push the limits, especially in the heat of the passion of a relationship. You're going to want to push the limits of what you guys do together, and who knows, that's a slippery slope, right? That the closer you get, the harder it is to resist the temptation not to go further, right? So boundaries, again, the boundaries we share aren't things that we're saying all of you have to do in your relationships, but these are just examples of the boundaries we set to be wise.
Yeah, some of the boundaries that we set were that we wouldn't sit on each other's laps. Or I wouldn't sit on your lap.
Yeah, or both. Yeah, I wouldn't sit on yours.
One, because he shared with me that he's seen some Christian females do that, and he thought it was extremely unwise. And I think that takes knowing yourself too, like knowing what you can and can't handle, so that way you protect the other person and protect yourself. You don't stir up things way ahead of time or more ahead of time than they should be. So not sitting on each other's lap.
And then another one was we weren't going to be at a home alone together, like ever, right? So I had my own house, right? But if she wanted to come over to the house, like we've got to have another friend. Night. Like if we wanted to have a date night, we're going to see a movie. Either we go out to the movie theater, or we invite some other friends to join us, like a double date, where we sit on the couch and watch a movie together.
And when those friends left, I had to leave.
Mm-hmm. She didn't like that, but she knew
I didn't like it all the time.
She's like, oh, I know where to go. But we had to do it.
Yeah, and it was a blessing, like to be able to, stay with the boundary during that time of courtship, and then knowing that we're married and there's no boundary. It was so awesome to have that feeling of waiting, and then finally, the gratification of it. And also the mindset behind a boundary is not only just to avoid the physical, but also to make sure that we're honoring each other and the other things that the Lord has placed in our lives. He had a really nice job in the military. I also was number one in my job where I was working. So how do we place ourselves in a position to honor each other there? Stay tuned for part 2.
Find out more in part 2. See a link below.